Om Sai Ram. Sai Satcharitra, Chapter 1. The story of grinding wheat and its philosophical significance. First, let me read the introduction and then move on to the story. According to the ancient reversed custom, Hemadpan begins the work Sai Satcharitra with various salutations. First, he makes obeisance to the god Ganesha to remove all obstacles and make the work a success and says that Sri Sai is the god Ganesha. Then to the goddess Saraswati to inspire him to write out the work and says that Sri Sai is one with this goddess and that he is himself singing his own life. Then to the gods Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar, the creating, preserving, and destroying deities respectively, and says that Sainath is one with them and he, as the great teacher, will carry us across the river of worldly existence. After describing in brief the various modes of devotion according to Parashtra, Vaisha, and Shantilya, etc., the author goes on to relate the following story. It was some time after 1910 AD that I went, one fine morning, to the masjid in Shirdi for getting a darshan of Sai Baba. I was wonderstruck to see the following phenomenon. After washing his mouth and face, Sai Baba began to make preparation for grinding wheat. He spread a sack on the floor and thereon set a hand mill. He took some quantity of wheat in a winnowing fan and then drawing up the sleeves of his kafni, the robe, and taking hold of the peg of the handmill, started grinding the wheat by putting a few handsful of wheat in the upper opening of the mill and rotated it. I thought, what business Baba had with the grinding of wheat when he possessed nothing and stored nothing, and as he lived on alms, some people who had come there thought likewise. But none had the courage to ask Baba what he was doing. Immediately, this news of Baba's grinding wheat spread into the village, and at once men and women ran to the masjid and flocked there to see Baba's act. Four bold women from the crowd forced their way up and pushing Baba aside, took forcibly the peg or the handle into their hands and singing Baba's Leela started grinding. At first, Baba was enraged, but on seeing the woman's love and devotion, he was much pleased and began to smile. While they were grinding, they began to think that Baba had no house, no property, no children, none to look after. He lived on alms. He required not any wheat flour for making bread or roti. What will he do with this big quantity of flour? Perhaps, as Baba is very kind, he will distribute the flour among us. Thinking in this way while singing, they finished and grinding, and after putting the handmill aside, they divided the flour into four portions and began to remove them one per head. Baba, who was calm and quiet till now, got wild and started abusing them, saying, Ladies, are you gone mad? Whose father's property are you looting away? Have I borrowed any wheat from you so that you can safely take the flour? Now please do this. Take the flour and throw it on the village border limits. On hearing this, woman felt abashed and whispering amongst them, went away to the outskirts of the village and spread the flour as directed by Baba. I asked the shady people, what was this that Baba did? They replied that as the cholera epidemic was spreading in the village and this was Baba's remedy against the same, It was not wheat that was ground, but the caldera itself was ground into pieces and pushed out of the village. From this time onwards, the cholera epidemic subsided and the people of the village were happy. I was much pleased to know all this, but at the same time, my curiosity was also aroused. I began to ask myself what earthly connection was there between wheat flour and cholera? What was the causal relation between the two? And how to reconcile them? The incident seems to be inexplicable. I should write something on this and sing to my heart's content Baba's sweet Leelas. Thinking in this way about this Leela, my heart was filled with joy, and I was thus inspired to write Baba's life, the Satcharitra. And as we know, with Baba's grace and blessing, this work was successfully accomplished. Philosophical significance of grinding. Apart from the meaning that the pupil of Shedi put this incident of grinding wheat, there is, we think, philosophical significance too. Sai Baba lived in Shedi for about 60 years, and during his long period, he did the business of grinding almost every day. Not, however, the wheat alone, but the sense, the mental and physical affliction, and the mysteries of his innumerable devotees. The two stones of his mill consisted of karma and bhakti, the former being the lower and the later the upper one. The handle with which Baba worked the mill consists of jhana, a firm conviction of Baba that knowledge or self realization is not possible unless there is a prayer act of grinding all our impulses, desires, sins, and of the three gunas, namely sattva, raja, and tama, and the hamkara, which is so subtle and therefore so difficult to be got rid of. Bow to Sri Sai. Peace be to all. Om Sai, Sri Sai, Jai Jai Sai.